Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees the opening of not really a whole lot, as just The Invitation, as far as major releases are concerned, is set to be coming out and will dominate and win the weekend by not all that much money. Whether or not the film is going to be any good or not still remains to be seen, as I'm still waiting to hear back on some people's thoughts on it, people that I tend to trust as far as their movie opinions are concerned. Maybe I'll actually go to see it this weekend, as I might have a little bit of extra time since Baby Thor and the Lady Freya are going to go on a little mini vacation, so I might have a little bit more free time to actually do that. But with all that being said, before we go any further, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. It's probably the slowest that I've ever said that statement. But anyway, getting into the numbers themselves, The Invitation is expected to make $9 million. Oh my goodness, $9 million in its opening weekend, opening at over around 3,000 screens. So hey, it is a horror film from Sony/Screen Gems. So my thought is that the budget on this film is likely not to be all that much, so we'll have to, of course, wait and see if we get any indication of how much money this film actually costs. In fact, we like to do things live here on the channel. Technically, the film was made back in 2021, as most of these films tend to be the case right here. It says casting call occurred May to October of 2021, and now it is finally getting a release date here. Budget was around $10 million. That's basically exactly what I thought that the film was going to cost. Again, the fact that it's not just from Sony, but it's a horror film, and it seems to be a lower budget horror film, and Screen Gem is more of their independent distributor anyway, so $10 million, making $9 million domestically, that's a pretty good sign early on. Again, doesn't have to make all that much money in order to make its money back. About, what, $25 million or so, roughly, the film would need to make in total by the end of its run. And I think that's definitely within reach for this movie, especially with that kind of a start. These types of films, especially if it has a good word of mouth, because if it happens to be a good film, and it gets that, again, easier to make up over, $10 million in a budget versus the $250 million that Thor: Love and Thunder took weeks and weeks and weeks to finally be able to surpass. So hopefully you can see how that all works. But Invitation, we'll have to, of course, wait and see whether or not it is any good or not. Let me know if you happen to have gone to see it last night as it opened and premiered. We also have the second weekend numbers for Beast, and it's actually looking pretty good for Beast. It's actually looking pretty good for this Idris Elba CGI lion fight fest. But again, also, to its credit, it is also apparently about a strong father who is defending his kids. So again, that's a very rare thing in Hollywood. And guess what? I think a lot of people, it seems to be indicating, at least by these numbers, and a 45% drop in the second week, which is a pretty strong drop nonetheless, despite the number not being all that large to begin with. But hey, it is a good sign nonetheless. It does show that this film might actually have some legs. It might actually be able to get to the point of itself breaking even, with another $6.4 million expected for that film. If we go back to my website, OMBReviews.com, we go back to the actual tracking. The film itself opened at $21.8 million. So it was about $40.8 million in the red. As of the recording of this video, it got up to 27.4. So again, probably worldwide, it'll be looking at what, maybe $40 to $50 million by the end of the weekend. So hey, I would say that it's in a pretty good position at that point to be looking at around 20 million or so in the red. And my guess is that with the projections that I'll have, it likely will be able to squeak out its own break-even point. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what the numbers look like, exactly what the legs on this film look like in the long run. But hey, looking pretty good so far for this CGI lion film. Again, that's how I'm viewing it. If you're viewing it as a strong father film, hey, that's awesome. That's just not how my eye is actually seeing it. I might actually, again, because I might actually have the time to do so this weekend, go to see it, and be able to come back with you saying if the CGI lion is really all that distracting or not. Maybe if it's done a little bit better based on, or different than what the trailers portray it to be. And also if it's a good actual, strong father figure film, or if it is just trying to kind of give that perception without actually, being able to deliver. But I'll let y'all know if I'm able to actually do so and put a review up on the channel for it. We also have Bullet Train Bullet Train staying in the top 3, as you all know. Big fan of this film. A 29% hold, so this is actually starting to look pretty good for the movie. 29% hold at this point, this far out in its release. It got about 3 or 4 weeks now out in its release. $5.7 million, so again, still not making all that much money, but it is definitely on the right track as far as being able to squeak out some break-even numbers are concerned. Right now, it's at $152.8 million. Again, it has been trending towards the lower end of its estimates, but as I mentioned before, it is still definitely possible for this film to be able to make its money back. If we go back to where Bullet Train was as of last weekend, again, it was around $45 million in the red. So if it continues to have these kinds of drops and it continues to do decent overseas, you could see the film be able to make its money back. But hey, again, I can't force you to go see the film. All I can say is, hey, it's a lot of fun, and if you like to have a lot of fun at the theaters, then I think that you would do well to go see this film, especially if you can see it. Not that there's going to be much of a crowd anyway, because let's just be honest, that's really not a whole lot of money for a film at this point in this release. It's really just the drop-off, the percentage drop-off that is kind of impressive. And so again, this is definitely not also the most impressive, I think, that we could even look down. Just one film, Top Gun Maverick, 7% drop, now in its, 14th week of release. It is now available on video-on-demand services, so the fact that people are still going out to see this in theaters, and the fact that it's still making $5.5 million, still just coming underneath 3,000 screens, yeah, you're looking at this film making $700 million by the end of its run domestically, most likely. That is pretty darn impressive numbers there for this movie. And hey, kudos to Paramount and kudos to Tom Cruise for making this all work. Cannot wait for my pre-order to come in. Can't believe I have to wait till November, though. Let's just say that it's very smart. Paramount is being very, very smart business-wise by saying, yeah, we're not going to let you rent it. You only can buy it for $20 if you want the digital copy of it, which I never recommend to anybody because physical media is the way to go. It's the only way that you can actually own the content itself, because let's say down the line they say, yeah, you know what, this stuff is not really, it's kind of offensive now. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit all of the digital versions of this film. They have the power to do that, unless, of course, you own the film and have the actual physical disc, where they cannot possibly ever touch that media as such. So, again, that's what I would recommend. But it is smart on them, because it means that you'll have a bunch of people buying it who want to see it again, who maybe don't want to go to the theaters, or as it's leaving theaters, want to see it again, want to show it to their family again. My wife really wants to see it, so I might actually end up getting it too, because I do still have some free credits, with Google Play anyway, so it wouldn't really cost me anything. But still, that's money going to them. So you're looking at them making money from that. They have no release date on when it'll be on Paramount Plus. They have no release date on when it'll be available to rent for a much smaller fee. So, hey, it's a smart money decision for them. They've made about $1.4 billion in the box office, and it's interesting to see this method and this process play out. You also have the other weekend numbers here for DC League of Super Pets. Dragon Ball Super Superhero. This is interesting to me. A 77% drop. I did not expect it to be that harsh. That all being said, this film made enough last weekend and had already made enough in its home country where this film's break even is already there. So again, that kind of a drop off, though pretty massive, especially when you look at it, you're like, whoa, that's pretty big, especially since it's still going to be out at almost 3,000 screens. So like, it would have made sense if they had said, okay, we're only releasing it for a week and then we're cutting it from, half the screens. Then I would expect to see this kind of a drop off. But yeah, those are pretty big numbers there. And you have some other films that are hanging around, but a new film, 3,000 Years of Longing, which I believe it has already been out in release in limited fashion. So it's a new film in that it's again, expansion of what has already been present, but yeah, it is what it is at this point in time. Just doing some updated numbers here, $51 million for Dragon Ball Super. As I mentioned before, it's putting this film in a very good position. Again, the budget for this film likely was somewhere between $8 and $10 million, and so really not all that surprising to see this film make its money back pretty easily. Bullet Train, of course, as I mentioned, I already talked about. Beast, $27.4 million. Again, having some pretty strong holds, so we'll wait and see exactly where this film ends, especially since really not a whole lot of films coming out in the coming weeks. And then, of course, Top Gun Maverick has been adjusted, actually. So it is now under $1.4 billion. But obviously, again, that's kind of a moot point because this hasn't had the most recent daily numbers added, which would easily put this film over $1.4 billion. So that actually would still end up holding. If we'll go ahead and look at the release schedule real quick for those that might be interested to see, okay, what actually is coming out. As you can see, there's a wide release for 3,000 Years of Longing and The Invitation. Next week, you got Honk for Jesus. Okay, you then have a Jaws re-release, the Spider-Man No Way Home, more fun stuff version. So re-releases here likely going to dominate the discussion, though I imagine that the new release of Honk for Jesus will somehow be in the top 3 at the very least. Clerks 3 apparently getting a limited release as well. Then you have Barbarian and Medieval getting wide releases after that. Clerks 3 getting a wide release September 13th. Again, expansion there. Then you have Silent Twins and The Woman King, which I know everyone's excited for. Then you get the Avatar re-release. Don't even get me started. Don't worry, darling. Bros, smile. As you can see, September is really just a completely dead month. Really, the next big release would be Halloween Ends, and I wouldn't even really call that a big release. So really, it's not until October 21st when Black Adam comes out that you have any major blockbuster set to come out. And hey, all of this while MoviePass has relaunched. Check out my video from yesterday where we talked about, me and John Flickinger talked about MoviePass, what we think of it going forward. I actually was finally able. They got their servers fixed, and I was able to sign up for it. So I will let you all know if it is a scam or not. I will gladly be a guinea pig if it means helping out people, be able to see more movies. But it's interesting that they are launching Labor Day when there's really not going to be much of anything. But then again, maybe that is the reason why, because they don't want their systems overloaded. They want to be able to build trust over time. And again, if that is the case, more kudos to them. But those are the numbers as they stand. What are y'all's thoughts about it? Do you think The Invitation is going to be a good horror film or not? Let me know your thoughts about that if you have had a chance to see it, and also thoughts about any of the other films and whether or not they're going to make their money back or no. And I know there's going to be 1 or 2 people out there saying, yeah, well, what about, you could talk about, you keep talking about Jurassic World. Is it going to make $1 billion? Could. Yeah, it could still make $1 billion. Still hasn't made $1 billion, but it still could. And if it does, guess what? The movie will still suck. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about that. Anything else I mentioned in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, slap that fire button. Odyssey, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my Keeper of the Bifrost and Chosen of Valhalla members over on Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals. Starting off with my Patreon supporters, we got Chris from the 80s, who you can check out on YouTube, Garrett Searles, Hymir Irie Hymason, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, The Modern Major General Story, Father Luca Illick, Orange Hat Reviews, who you can also check out on YouTube, Rosetta Allen, whose YouTube channel's name is Eagle Rider, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel, and the Empress of the Universe, Tina B, who you can check out on her show that she does with the amazing Stephanie B, my Valkyrie, on a show called Soup to Nuts on Tina B's channel. Also to my Subscribestar peeps, we got Matt317, who you can support over on Twitch, same name, Storm Tracker, the R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man, who you can support over at xtheboundaries.co. And lastly, to my Locals members, we got Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan, How About a Hockey Player? We have UAB Mad Dog Mike Jackson for the win, Brett D90, and Robert Barnes, who most people should know about at this point, so go support him over at InfoWars, YouTube, and all the other locations that he is at. But if you want your name shouted out at the end of every single video and live stream, check out that top link in the video description. Finds out all the places that you can follow me on social media, and also all the various platforms that you can support the channel, which include not only shoutouts, but also access to giveaways of 4K titles, Blu-rays, tons of other stuff like that, digital codes, and then also a way to get access to being featured on the channel once a month for the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we talk about movies, pop culture, and pretty much anything the Chosen want to talk about. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out the video description. There's also access to a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pig Flickinger once or twice a month. And don't worry if you were wondering where the July episode is, because of scheduling conflicts, especially with John, we were not able to get that done, but we will have 2 episodes this month to make up for it, so don't you worry about that. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.